Check it out, guys. I'm behind the wheel of the brand new 2014 Buick LaCrosse. And this is not your father's Buick anymore. It's, well, much more sporty, much more luxurious. And you know what? I'll let the chief engineer tell you about it, because coming up on the Fast Lane car, everything you ever wanted to know about the 2014 Buick LaCrosse.
LaCrosse kind of tried to do, I'll say, three things new for 14. And all of it was trying to, I'll say, just tweak the things, tweak the formula for what customers have, given us back as items that maybe could be a little bit different, a little bit improved.
Sure.
A little bit exterior styling.
Yep.
So front and rear, fascia, lamps, hood, fenders, rear deck lid with an integrated spoiler, rear tail lamps. I just tried to make the exterior a little fresher and give it just a little bit of a look that gives it a more of a broad stance. So that was kind of the exterior theme. Interior was also refreshed too, basically through the IP in the seats. Steering wheel is also new. Center console, center stack is all brand new.
A lot fewer buttons.
A lot fewer buttons,
yeah.
Which was obviously one of the customer feedbacks. Tried to address that right away. So you've got the 8-inch touchscreen in the center for center stack controls. And then also you got an 8-inch driver information center for your cluster as well.
Now under the hood of the LaCrosse, and let me show you, is a direct injected 3.6 liter V6 that puts out 304 horsepower and 264 pound-foot of torque. It's mated, and you can probably figure this out, to an automatic 6-speed transmission. And how about the engine?
Engine and powertrains for LaCrosse are still the E-Assist, 2.4 liter,
yep.
4-cylinder, and then the V6, both of them behind it with a 6-speed behind them. Those are essentially carryover. And again, it was kind of that theme of where's the customer asking us through feedback to tweak the formula. Powertrains are very well received, LaCrosse, and so we didn't have a lot that we felt was necessary there, so we left those alone. Once the formula was good, leave that, move on to something else.
What'd you expect? A Corvette? It's a Buick. It's gonna be quiet. That's what Buicks are. They're quiet. Alright, that is floored right there. The computer will not let me actually do anything beyond 3,000 RPM, and you really do hear more engine noise than exhaust note. What's your favorite part of the car? You spend a lot of time in this, I bet.
I do. For me, I'll give you a generic answer and then I'll kind of come down a little bit more. If I'm going anywhere,
yeah,
this is the car I take, and I don't say that just because it's the one I work on. I get access to all of our cars in our product line. But
you take this over Corvette?
For a drive trip, coming down here
I had to ask.
to Cincinnati,
yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
And here's why. Because when I get done with coming 5 hours down here from home to Cincinnati, you get out of the car and you're still just as refreshed as you were when you got in. The reasons
very comfortable car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the reasons for me are it's quiet,
yeah,
it's comfortable seats, it's very luxurious. So as a driver's car to just go somewhere, for me it's a blast. Then, there's a whole bunch of other equations you can always throw in there. Do you want the Corvette because you want the sporty? Of course. But that's kind of the different lineups that we have within General Motors, and so that's what makes it fun to work there.
I bet you a lot of people aren't going to be doing 0 to 60 runs in a Buick LaCrosse, but here at the Fast Lane car, this is what we do. I've got a bit of straight road ahead of me, and let's find out how fast this is from 0 to 60. I'm going to turn the air off, and I am just going to floor it because, well, it's real world testing, and that's what we do. Here we go, floored. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin now. I did not disable the traction control, and there's a reason for that, because I want to get as much traction as possible, and there's 60. I am seriously impressed. Check this out, guys, 7.78. That is very quick indeed for a big family sedan. This has got some, as Nathan would say, cojones! Buick at one point used to be kind of, for lack of a better word, a stodgy brand, right? And your father's Buick was almost a cliche.
Sure.
And it seems like you're really trying to modernize it, to bring it into the...
Well, absolutely. That's part of the revival, I'll say, of Buick, is things like a Regal GS.
Yeah.
Things like a LaCrosse, but the LaCrosse still has some elements with 20-inch tires, with, a sport mode to it. Things like that at least give it some edge, if you will, that gives it something that isn't so much just for your father's driver.
Finally, what's the more popular one? Is it the front-wheel drive platform or the all-wheel drive platform?
Front-wheel drive for sure. Yeah. I mean, all-wheel drive is fairly specific, obviously, to any customers. Anybody who's looking for an all-wheel drive, typically, they will only look for an all-wheel drive, and they'll only look for brands that have all-wheel drive. But for sure, the bigger market for this car is the front-wheel drive, either the 4-cylinder or the V6.
And in a way, all-wheel drive has become synonymous with luxury, right? I mean, it's what people kind of equate with that. So the competitor brands, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, they all have all-wheel drive variants.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why when this car was invented, dreamed up, we said, hey, it's got to be part of the architecture. It's got to be part of the market for this car. It's a luxury brand. People who want all-wheel drive will only shop brands that have all-wheel drive, so it really plays well.
And it also shares a platform with the new Impala.
It does.
Yeah. And do you see people kind of moving up from an Impala to LaCrosse? Is that something, you're like, I have an Impala, it's nice, but I want something that's got a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more luxury.
I mean, there's different customers in the world for sure. So there are always segments that are going to be where they are. People love Chevrolets for what they are. Other people love Buicks for what they are. But sure, I mean, there's always brand crosstalk that goes on in some segments. And since the cars are relatively the same size vehicle, there's at least going to be some inkling there. It's just, I think, what the customer's looking for. And if they are, maybe changing lifestyle, family comes in, or maybe a different job and more money comes in, that might be something people would aspire up to a more of a LaCrosse. It's possible.
Well, I've got your last question. Kind of look out onto the horizon. What's coming for LaCrosse? Where do you see it going?
Well, we'll ride this LaCrosse out here. Yep. There's no major changes at least that I'm aware of that are coming for this particular one we're in. There's always new products on the horizon. It's part of where the GM philosophy is now, is to keep the products moving. And so we'll see what comes next for the brand. It's hopefully all good stuff, because right now it certainly is.
Thank you very much.